ultimate NAS versus NAS comparison. Which one's better, QNAP or Synology? Now, I'm a user of both these devices, and recently I have gone through the upgrade of ditching my Synology and upgrading to a QNAP NAS. And the reason why is I needed something with a bit more performance than what Synology were providing. Now, this unit is granted 2 years old. I got this 2 years ago, and value, the price, it was expensive compared to what I was going from external hard drives, that kind of stuff, but compared to a QNAP device, it is a lot cheaper. However, performance-wise, for the last 2 years,
yowzers. The fact that preparing to copy takes so long just shows how good having a decent NAS drive is. I'm just trying to relink it to my Synology NAS, and just listing a folder is taking forever. So I don't think it's going to work. As you can see, it takes quite a while just to get something on the screen. Notice that little spinny thing, just constantly spinning. And this is over Ethernet, not Wi-Fi.
It's been a pain. It's been a pain. It's been very slow. File listings, very slow. Every operation has been very slow. And it's not because it's an Ethernet connection. The Atom CPU or the operating system that Synology use is just very sluggish. Listing out files and folders, it's very, very sluggish. When I switched to QNAP, I wasn't sure if I was going to experience the same issues, but this guy...
Alright, check this out. I'm currently transferring all my files from my Synology NAS. This one's going around 16 megabytes a second, and this one's going around 18 megabytes a second. Now, my RAID 6 setup is currently synchronizing, so it's doing a big scrub, and so it's utilizing resources at the same time. So while all that's going on, I'll show you a quick speed test, and let's go. So I'm getting around 300 megabytes a second write, and just under 300 megabytes read. So I'm transferring all these files from my Synology, and I'm synchronizing the RAID. It's not fully set up yet, with 141 hours to go. I've obviously set up the priority to prioritize my transfers. Yeah, I can still get 300 megabytes a second in Azure. Now check this out. Let's launch some Final Cut Pro and see if we can do some video editing while all this craziness is going on. Right, so this project here is referencing files that is on my QNAP NAS. Reveal and Finder, and you can see it's on my NAS drive. And let's see if we can play it back. I'm just skimming through the file, and seems to be launching file. I'll just play it back. So it seems to be playing back fine. Play it back at 2x speed. And this is unrendered footage over here. So the dots mean it's unrendered. This is, again, while I'm transferring all these files, and it's still scrubbing the data.
It works just like an external hard drive. On this drive, if I'm trying to edit videos, that is just an impossible feat. It makes everything run insanely slow.
And just listing a folder is taking forever. I don't think it's going to work.
And it's horrendous and horrible. This guy, I've actually been using this fella as an external drive to edit my videos from. I no longer have to copy all my videos to my MacBook Pro. I can just edit directly off this NAS drive. And I'm using a RAID 6 configuration with spinning hard drives, so it's not SSDs, nothing like that. It works really well, and I'm editing off an encrypted volume. So performance-wise, I gotta say that the QNAP has been a revelation for me. Honestly, I'm so happy that I've got this unit, and it works really well for me. But I figured I'd go through the pros and cons of both these devices to let you know what else you can get out of this. So if you're thinking about a NAS drive for something that you want to use as an external drive, obviously get the QNAP. But if you view NAS as a backup drive, an archive drive to put all your old data on, then this guy could be pretty good value for you, because even though it is a lot slower than this guy, the price is very good and it gives you loads of bays to use. You can get the 4-bay version, the 8-bay version, the 6-bay version, just like you can get with the QNAPs. It's been solid. This guy, after 2 years, it did break down and I did get a warranty replacement. It did cost me around $100 to get it shipped there and shipped back. But the process did take only 8 days. Ideally, you don't want your NAS drive failing in 2 years. But the fact that they repaired it very quickly makes me a bit happier. There are some serious known issues with this drive that I've got in particular. It's got the C2000 bug where the processor itself can just die on you. And the warranty replacement that they gave me also gave me an old processor which has that same bug. So they never replaced my NAS unit with a fresh one that had all the issues ironed out. This drive that they replaced it with has that same C2000 issue. There's a lot of fanfare online about the power supply units failing. So my power supply unit failed and that's what made me get the warranty replacement. However, over on QNAP's side, there's also equivalent fanfare on potential breakages. If you look for negative feedback, you're gonna find it. So I've heard people say that some people lost some of their data on it. Some people couldn't connect properly on these drives, that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm using a brand new unit here, so none of the issues have been highlighted on this NAS unit itself, but some of the previous models. I personally haven't experienced anything with this NAS unit, but I've only had it for 3 months. So check the description below, and if I have any issues with this guy, I'll let you know. But I also talked to my mate, Western Gents. Check out his channel. He also does reviews on NAS units and tech and all that kind of stuff. And he's told me that his QNAP device, he's been running it for a couple of years now, and he's had no problems with it. So that's a good testimonial there. Regarding software, I guess maybe Synology is slightly more easier to use. I'm gonna say maybe, because I found QNAP's operating system just as easy to use and set up, but maybe Synology is slightly easier and more user-friendly. I'm gonna put this maybe because obviously it depends on your user preference. For me, they were both really easy to use, but there is some differences between the two. So with Synology, again, it's slow, but it has these insanely confusing features which bog it down. So for example, it's got something called indexing, and indexing is a process that just constantly runs, and you need to have indexing available if you want to use the find in macOS and Windows. So if you want to find a file within a folder, you need to have indexing available. Whereas this guy, I don't have indexing on. I don't even know if it has that feature. It has that feature if you enable multimedia, kind of like photo editing, that kind of stuff. But it just works out of the box with macOS. Similarly, regarding multimedia features, so both these units have apps called PhotoStation, which is kind of like a Google Photos alternative. However, when it comes to PhotoStation, you can't disable the features of it. Whereas with QNAP, you can actually disable multimedia features, which means it just completely turns off generating thumbnails, it completely turns off indexing, it completely turns off all these kind of features that you perhaps don't need. I personally trialed my system with it on, and I didn't actually notice difference in performance. So when I'm editing, I'm still editing with PhotoStation running, and when I disabled it in the end, it still works even faster.
Secondly, when it comes to these processor-heavy operations like indexing, and more importantly, if you have a RAID data scrubbing, the QNAP system will process it faster than the Synology system. But with QNAP, you get to specify the priority level to scrub the data. So you can set it to high, in which it will prioritize getting the data scrubbed as fast as possible so you can resume your normal operations, or you can set it to medium or low. I personally set everything to low, and I just continue to use the NAS unit as you'd expect it to run. It runs just like an external hard drive. But there's also additional benefits here. With Synology, if you try to turn off your system while indexing is occurring or a data scrub is occurring, it actually cancel that operation, and when you restart the NAS, it will restart it from scratch. On QNAP,
if you turn off your system during these operations, it will pause the operation and then resume it when you restart. So you're completing these operations a lot quicker. Giorgio money. Just wanted to add that in because I thought that was very important and I forgot to mention it when I had the units positioned there. So you get more flexibility with QNAP than you would in Synology. Synology is a bit more, I guess, they baby you a little bit. Something also interesting is the cloud storage application. So you can actually back up your files onto the cloud services like Amazon, Google Drive, Dropbox, all that kind of stuff. With Synology, it was more user-friendly because it did give me a history of all the files that had been uploaded to the cloud, whereas QNAP's version only gives me the current file being transferred to the cloud. So there is a win there for Synology. However, Synology, it's not as well implemented as QNAP. For example, QNAP allows you to upload your files compressed and encrypted, whereas Synology only lets you upload your files encrypted. So there is a win here for using QNAP services. Furthermore, Synology has a feature called SHR, Synology Hybrid RAID. Now, I enabled that feature when I first got this NAS unit, and you have to know that it does make your NAS unit run slower. It's nice to be able to slot in lots of different drives of different sizes. That's what Synology Hybrid RAID does. It allows you to put in like a 4 GB, 6 GB, and 2 GB, and it will combine it all together. However, it does slow down your system. I've recently wiped out all my drives and retested everything, and it is faster if you just use standard RAID. With QNAP, you don't get the Synology Hybrid RAID, however, you do get storage pools. Now, if you don't use storage pools, you do get a faster system as well. I've tried my setups with SHR and storage pools, the worst possible performance. With storage pools enabled, I still get speeds, which I can edit, Final Cut, all this kind of stuff, list the folders, and it works, encrypted, all that kind of stuff. With Synology Hybrid RAID, you're kicking yourself in the foot. Just don't use that. Use standard RAID 6. And for maximum performance on QNAP, just use standard RAID 6 as well. Avoid the extra stuff. Next up is connectivity. So both these devices allow you to connect using Ethernet, and you can get a USB dongle to connect over Wi-Fi. Obviously, using QNAP over Wi-Fi runs a lot faster than using Synology over Wi-Fi, because this, I don't know what it is, but it just runs slower, listing the files, the folders, all that kind of stuff. So I got much better performance with QNAP there. However, what you get on QNAP is, for this device in particular, you get a Thunderbolt free connectivity and 10 GBE out of the box. With this guy, you'd have to buy a 10 GBE adapter card, or not this one in particular, the more newer versions of this, you'd have to get a 10 GB adapter card, whereas this one, including the price, you get Thunderbolt connectivity too, and you get 10 GBE. So you're getting really good value, and with Thunderbolt connectivity, connect to your MacBook, connect to your iMac, everything runs really nice and smooth, and it's a real pleasure to use. So even though this guy is more expensive, it does give you a lot more out of the box. And regarding price, like I said, this one is a lot cheaper, but you are missing out on the performance, because this guy has an Atom CPU. Even the newer version of this has an Atom CPU, and this CPU it's not up to the job. If you want equivalent performance as an external hard drive that you plug in over USB, a DAS, that kind of stuff, it's not good enough. Whereas QNAP works like a DAS, works like an external hard drive, thanks to the CPU. Now this one here has an 8th gen Intel CPU. It's got H.265 encoding, decoding, that kind of stuff. It's got Intel integrated graphics. So it's a massive bump. Regarding noise, now, obviously these are two different units. This one is quieter, but primarily it's because it's a 4-bay. And it only has one large gigantic fan, whereas this guy, it has two large fans, so it's going to make more noise. However, something to consider out there is the main noise that you're going to get from these NAS units is your hard drive. So I'm using Seagate Ironwolf drives. I've tried Western Digital, I've tried all the brands, and I'm very happy with the performance I'm getting out of Ironwolf and Ironwolf Pro drives. So the hard drives are the ones that make the most noise. in my setup configuration, I configure my units to run as cool and quiet as possible. And to be honest, both units, they run at their lowest fan speeds. So noise levels, they're very, very similar. They make a different tune, but they're very, very similar. Regarding warranty, Synology drives traditionally have a 2-year warranty. However, the unit I've got here has a 3-year warranty because they've acknowledged the Intel bug that's currently in my system. So I'm lucky to have that because it meant I got a warranty replacement. Out of the box, QNAP, they give you a 2-year warranty. However, if you register online, they give you an extra few months. Both units can be extended to a 5-year warranty with an additional payment. And you need to do that within, I think, 60 days of purchasing your NAS units. So I'd recommend doing that because it's worth it. And the fact that you can upgrade it to 5 years is a good deal. Personally, I haven't had any serious problems with QNAP yet, so I haven't seen how their customer support is handled. I don't know how it will be, but legally, you got warranty. Hopefully, you'll be able to get a replacement. I've experienced Synology, they had a good warranty. It was alright. It was a bit of a weird communication, but they did replace my unit. Although they replaced my unit with a unit which has a really old CPU, which has that C2000 bug, which means at any time the CPU can fail, which is I don't know what to say. Now, regarding resale value, I managed to sell my unit for 900 Australian dollars. Initially, I bought this 2 years ago for around 900 pounds. So I've lost around 40% value in 2 years. That's not bad, because it's not like an Android phone. You buy an Android phone, within a year the new one's out and you've lost a lot of value. With this guy, it tends to keep its value. Again, QNAP, same sort of thing, because these are niche kind of like devices. So overall, I'd say the difference between Synology and QNAP is mainly how you view your NAS. Do you view your NAS as an archival drive, something cheap to store all your data? Well, not cheap, but cheaper to store all of your data and access it, like kind of like a cold storage kind of method, not as cold as having it on the cloud, but slow. It's going to be there, you're archiving it in the future, and you're not going to be using these files real-time applications. Whereas if you want an external hard drive equivalent, if you want something that you can just use out the box and it runs fast, you get the best connections, you get a nice CPU which you can actually upgrade. You can upgrade this 8th generation CPU to an i7, all that kind of stuff. I haven't tried it myself, but technically you can, because it's a socket, so the CPU can go in and out. It's got slots for M2, so you can do some SSD caching in there. It's got some really good upgradability in this device. Then I totally recommend the QNAP. So it just depends on where you think you're going. Personally, I'd say if I was to do it again, I'd just get QNAP from the start, because initially I watched a lot of Synology marketing material. It was all the reviews on YouTube, and they all said how amazing it is, how fast it is, and they edit it, and it's been nothing like that. To be honest, it's an archival drive. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed that breakdown and that real life experience of both these NAS units. And overall, I definitely recommend getting a QNAP. However, if you are just backing up your data, kind of just want an archive of your data and accessing it a bit slower, then this is a nice unit to get. And for the record, yes, I have upgraded the RAM in this drive, and yes, I have used SSD caching, and it's still, you know, it's marginal benefit. It's not like this guy only has 4 gigs RAM and it just works really well. This guy with an SSD cache and an extra 4 gigabytes RAM, so making it 6 gigabytes in total, it still runs very, slow. I'm not gonna say any more about that, but yeah, I've tried this stuff. Alright, I've just picked up the Synology DS1819 Plus. Now I'm hoping to God, please let this one actually work, because the last one, the DS416 Play, was awful.